So we should be live on the app. We are now live on Hangouts on Air. Howdy doody, everybody. Live on the app. We are now live on Hangouts. Hi, guys. Let's see. It's time for a roll call. It is 5 o'clock. We've got Donald and Steve, Brett, Kevin, Dan, Dorothy, John, Nura, Sandy, and for some reason, Switcher Mark has decided. Oh, I'm sorry. TLI Mark has decided to switch again and show up at the live show. That's very exciting for all of us because, just to have his presence is always an honor, really, All right, let me do a little test recording here. Don't hear anything yet, but looks like video may be about to start. That's a long lag, isn't it? All right, so the app is okay. Ready there? All right, Sandy can see me now. All right, let me do a quick test to make sure people can hear the playback here. Hi, this is oh, wait a minute. It's a recording. I just noticed something. There's a thing that says play through. I wonder if that's what. Oh, that was.
What was that?
Apparently, that was reverb. I clicked the playthrough button. Dan, what is that playthrough button? That's weird. On the recorder, there's a playthrough button. I thought maybe it would let me see the waveform. Wait, the sound on this is amazing. Oh, he must be, Mark must be listening on his new iPad Pro.
Ah, makes sense.
Yes, my voice is amazing, Mark. All right, let me do a real test recording here.
It's those 4 speakers.
Yeah, really. I thought I want to be able to hit R for record. Wonder how Dan, how do you engage record and stop recording? I want to hit R, but R doesn't do it. I don't know how it does it. Okay, well, I guess I should just start recording. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. All right, let's see if you guys can hear that on playback. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. And can I get confirmation you guys could hear that?
Yes, we could hear it.
Command R to record. All right, good. Let's try that. Okay, we got playback. Command R. Well, that works. Okay. What if I have to have Command R again? May have to set this to automatically. 1 second. I'm still learning Amadeus Pro. And I want to set this, let's see, for recording. Record, mono channels, mono general. There was a button I turned off that let me stop it from auto starting the recorder. This is fascinating for you guys, huh? Input, boom, advanced settings, bit rate, mono. Why is it 32 kilohertz? That shouldn't be 32 kilohertz. 32-bit, that should be 16-bit, right? Yeah. We need 32-bit. That's probably one of the reasons that was so big before. All right, Rose is stuck in. Play from start. I can't find that settings. Okay, we'll just, oh, there we go. Start recording immediately. Okay, here we go. I can do Command R. I like that better. Thanks, Dan. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, November 15th, 2015, and this is show number 549. Well, this week on Chit Chat Across the Pond, which is a separate podcast now that we do, so go out to your podcatcher, do a search for Chit Chat Across the Pond. Anyway, on Chit Chat Across the Pond this week, we had David Sawyer, CEO and founder of TSO Life. TSO Life stands for The Stories of Life, and it's a web service designed to help people capture the stories of their lives through written stories, photos, videos, and audio recordings. It's a fascinating idea with a really interesting business model. I'm guessing, like me, there are people in your life that have passed on that you wish had recorded their stories for you. You can see TSO Life over at tsolife.com, and be sure to go over and subscribe to Chit Chat Across the Pond. Well, I got to say, I've had a really busy podcast week. In addition to recording Chit Chat Across the Pond, I was on the SMR podcast with Rob Dunwood and Chris Ashley. They let me come on and talk about the iPad Pro and the Apple TV, so that was super fun as always. Again, the only downside of being on the SMR podcast is I don't have an SMR podcast to listen to that week. I also got to be on the Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt and Lamar Wilson, where the three of us compared notes on our first impressions on the iPad Pro. Finally, we recorded an episode of the Mac Roundtable with me, Victor Kahiao of TerraTech.tech, and Adam Christensen of the MacCast, again talking iPad Pro. Because of all those appearances, this will be mostly an iPad Pro free podcast. All right, since I've got the live NosillaCast audience listening right now, I wanted to give you a heads up that the live show this coming week will be on Monday next week instead of Sunday. So I guess that's more than a week. Good friend of the show, Klaus Wolf from Germany, will be in LA, and Steve and I want to take some time off to go hiking with him and generally goof around. I'll be sure to tweet about the show being out a day and, do all those things to remind you. But if you have the NosillaCast app, you'll see the right date and time in there. It'll tell you when the next show is. And if you subscribe to the Google Calendar for the live show, you'll see it correctly there. That is always up to date. So if you go over to podfeet.com/live, you can get more details on how to get the Google Calendar going. There we go.
Todd has joined us.
Todd Whitehead. Oh, and NC
and the Enterprise itself.
That's nice. That's good. Oh, wait, got to do a save as. Save as. And this is NC. Do not change that to NosillaCast. _ 2015 _ 11 _ 15. Right? There. Save that. Good. Save. I'm glad to see the Enterprise is here. Todd Whitehead, how the heck are you? All right. Now let's do, okay. I gotta figure out how to keep changing these things here. Yeah. All right. Command R. That's good. I like that. I don't like change. When I finally decided to spin off Chit Chat Across the Pond in its own podcast, I told you about all the things I haven't changed in my life in decades. My friend Nancy likes to say, change is bad. But it turns out once you start changing things, it gets easier and more tempting to just keep changing things up. I get so much good positive reinforcement for changing the show and splitting off Chit Chat Across the Pond that I got encouraged to do more of it. It's almost like change causes more change. You'll see in this story that it was kind of a cascading effect that has really gotten me out of my comfort zone, but I got to say, I'm really enjoying the ride. Since I was changing the podcast itself, it seemed like a good idea to change my recording software at the same time. Instead of GarageBand, I started using Amadeus Pro. You're going to hear a full review of Amadeus Pro a little later in the show. Instead of using iTunes to add the ID3 tags, I started using a tool called ID3 Editor. ID3 tags, by the way, are those little bits of information about the audio file, like my name, the fact that the show is clean, and the artwork, and the links to the show. Anyway, I chose ID3 Editor because it had a scriptable command line that would make Dorothy squeal with delight of how she could program against it. Levelator, the software that I use for making the audio levels consistent, actually broke in El Capitan, but I had just changed over to using a phonic leveler to level the audio and bring it up to loudness standards. So that was yet another change. Well, if the podcasts have changed, we've got new artwork, 3 new applications for the audio, maybe I should rethink how I write the blog posts. For a decade, I've been using Feeder from reinventedsoftware.com to create my giant blog posts of doom, trademark Donald Burr. But it wasn't really designed for this particular task. It's designed to create the podcast feed that delivers the audio files to you. Feeder is still essential to the podcast process, but it was time to torture another developer with my blogging needs. So I bought Mars Edit from red-sweater.com. Mars Edit is pretty cool, and I'm going to do another review of that later, but it's designed to write blog posts. Who knew? It's designed to be able to easily add images. I used to FTP them by hand and then link them, even though Feeder probably could have handled that. And it helps with easy categories and tagging. Remember when I said the first change caused a cascading effect of change? Well, you'd think changing my blogging software would have no effect on my web server hosting plan, but you'd be wrong. When I first ran Mars Edit, one of the things it does that's really cool is it pulls down all of your existing content from your website so that it's in sync with the entire website to your desktop, which was awesome. But think how much data is on podfeed.com after more than a decade of, say, 5,000 words a week in blogging posts. Downloading all of that content caused a ton of what's called remote procedure calls, which my web hosting company, Bluehost, thought was an attack. So they blacklisted my IP address from my own website. Now, I'm not actually blaming them. That's not really a bad thing. In fact, I'm very glad that they have protections in place against remote code execution, or not remote code execution, but remote attacks like that, right? I mean, that's a good thing. I called them up and they immediately let me back in. They said they could whitelist my IP address for 72 hours, but if it started happening again, I'd have to call them back. I got a hold of Daniel, the developer of MarsEdit, about this, and he suggested I have my host whitelist the user agent string for MarsEdit. Back to Bluehost I went, but they explained that because I was on a shared hosting plan, that wasn't possible because it would affect other domains. A while back, I upgraded from regular shared hosting, which is thousands of websites on one physical server, to pro shared hosting, which is only 400 sites on the same server. Well, anyway, so I'm talking to Bluehost, and my new little best friend, Cody, asked whether I'd considered a dedicated host. Well, I had considered it, but I knew that was about 5 times the price, so I had said no. But he suggested a VPS, or virtual private server. This is just like the virtual machines that we can create on our Macs and PCs. They host several virtual machine servers on a single box. When you create a VM, locally on your own machine or in this VPS environment, you dedicate a specific number of processors and RAM to each virtual server, which means you're not sharing those resources with anyone else, even though you're on the same physical box. Cody checked the pricing and told me it was only about $5 a month more after some fees I'd have to pay up front. That sounded great to me. I'm going to fast forward through a whole bunch of it, but here's a couple of important bits of what happened next. Cody suggested we do the transfer to the VPS in the middle of the night, but evidently did not understand quite how this works. In the morning, I was greeted with a tweet from NosillaCast Michael Price showing me a blue screen indicating that podfeet.com was unavailable. It turns out that even though I was paying for a static IP before the change, they had moved me to a different static IP on the virtual private server. Quick call to Bluehost, where they explained what happened, and I was able to jump over to my domain registrar, GoDaddy, and change what's called the A record, which is what connects the domain name to the IP address. I made that change, and in a while it propagated across the globe. The scary part for me, though, was something else that Cody didn't know when he talked me into doing this. When we talked about the virtual private server, I absolutely positively asked him, are you still my system administrators for this server? Like, are you going to keep it patched, like Apache? Is it going to be up to date because you're going to keep it up to date? And he said, sure. Well, he was wrong. I discovered after the server migration that Allison is now a Linux system administrator. Well, even though I have tamed that terminal and all, I am not a Linux admin. I considered dialing back to the old plan, but by the time I had done this, I had already fallen in love with how wicked fast podfeet.com had become. Seriously, whatever you're doing right now, go over, click around on the site, and you will be amazed how fast it is. I couldn't bear to give that up because as much as you guys may go to podfeet.com, I go there a lot. I'm always in and out of there waiting for that little blue bar to go across, having that thing be gone, and I click and I'm instantly everywhere I want to be. It's wonderful. So then I realized I know a Linux sysadmin who I would trust with my website. I would trust with my life. So over the next year, Bart says he's going to teach me to care for it by myself. We'll see how well that works out for him in the long run. I personally find this terrifying because I have many, many talents. I really do. And I'm not shy about talking about those, but I am not careful. I am the kind of person who goes, yeah, I'm probably right. Bang, 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 bang. And, me having root access to a server, that just sounds like a really bad idea. But Bart said he was willing to take on this challenge. I don't know why. All right, I almost forgot one other cool thing about the virtual private server, or VPS. They said I get a terabyte of bandwidth. And that means I could potentially host the podcast files on my own server, cutting out Libsyn. Now, Steve and I had quite a discussion with our little friend Cody, who didn't understand an awful lot of things. And he kept saying it was a terabyte. And I said, a terabyte per what? Per second? Per minute? Per hour? Per month? And he said, no, a terabyte. I said, no, bandwidth is a speed. It's got to have a time component in it. And he kept saying, no, it's just a terabyte. So I don't know whether he's right about that. But we also talked about whether I have enough storage to be able to do that. He said there's a 30 gigabyte cap. Well, he went in and he looked at my storage and he said, "Oh, you're already using 42 gig." And the minute he said it, I knew exactly what had happened. I'm running some backup software that backs up my WordPress database, but it doesn't download the files to me. It keeps them on the server. And I sort of hadn't cleaned it out since 2013. So I went through I don't know, it was like 11 pages of backup files. I finally went over to my FTP client and I cleaned them out, and I've got 4 gigabytes of storage there now. So I don't know whether I'm going to do that or not. I've been going back and forth on whether to do it. I'm probably going to leave it alone because I'm too lazy. But change does seem to propagate change. So let's recap. We changed the podcast itself. We changed the audio recording software, changed the leveling software. We changed the ID3 tagging software, the blogging software, the web hosting plan, maybe change the podcasting hosting location. All that's left now is I need to completely redo the website. I'm tired of it, and it doesn't represent the way the show works anymore. So I got to go change all of that too. See what I meant at the beginning? Once I start to change, I simply can't stop. That was a long one. Oh, thank you, Steve. All right. What have I missed? I realized, hey, Steve, can you look at or make a note to look in the Change Everything at Once blog post? Oh, wait, I can change it. Oh, now that I think about it, I can edit this.
I can edit this before?
No, if I had to go back and forth and move it around and stuff, I wrote Yosemite in here, and luckily I noticed it. I said that.
El Capitan.
Yeah, I said it was Yosemite that did it, but really El Capitan. And I can send that to blog, and it's fixed. Okie dokie. So next up, what's next on our list? So that was Change Everything at Once. Oh, now let's make up an ad. Let's talk about. Anybody buy anything good on Amazon this week?
Oh, wait, I thought you were unsponsored now. Oh, you're going to Amazon. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't read the. Oh man, I missed a lot of stuff in the. I got to read the chat here. Oh, you're using Overcast now, Brett, huh? Oh, that's good. Yeah, something. Okay, what else did I miss? We're talking about Star Trek, red shirts. Oh, this is that book you're reading. That's so funny. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this one on the fly. So here we go. As you know, this is no longer a sponsored show, but there's a bunch of ways you can help keep this show alive. I've spent a lot of money in the last couple of weeks on tools you might have just heard about. But the ways you can help the show, the easiest way that doesn't cost you a single dime is go over to podfeed.com and click on the Amazon image in the upper left. It is not JavaScript. It is not tracking you. I made sure there's no tracking cookies. It's not, if you have ad blockers on, you can still see it because it's just an image. But if you click on it, anything you buy inside Amazon while you're in that session will send a small percentage back to the show. So you're going to shop at Amazon anyway. In fact, create a bookmark, but have it just go to Amazon or to podfeed.com so that you can click that link. That's what I do. I use the one over at SMR Podcast so that they get it because I can't use my own. Wish I could because I spent a lot of money over there. But anyway, you can get a small percentage of the show without costing you a dime. There's also a PayPal button if you're interested in just doing a one-shot kind of thing. And that's all under ways to help the show in the upper left sidebar at podfeed.com. I'd really appreciate help. Let's keep this thing alive. What was that for winging it? Where did that go?
Not bad. We'll let that one go.
We will. Where did that go? What the heck? Did I just paste over? God. As you know, okay, the entire recording of everything I've done up to now is not there. Gone. Everything is gone. Seriously. There's nothing. I haven't recorded anything. Okay. Well, I think. I don't really know how this works. I don't like change. Oh my God. I don't know what's going on, you guys. This seems to be pasting. There is yeah, there is. Let's save a copy. Let's save as. What is going on? I do not know what's going on. I'm saving. Everything I'm recording is just starting back over at the front. You know what? I know what I'm doing. The insertion point keeps going back to the front. Let's see what the last one I had was. So now I've saved as. Let's open this one. I bet that's only got the. I don't like. Yep. All right. Well, that was the longer. Ah, oh, cripes. Let me see if I can do this. Urgh. Urgh. All right, this is fun. I don't want to which one do I want to re-record? I have a choice. I can either re-record the beginning. I'll re-record the beginning.
Which is shorter?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know. Dang nabbit.
Is this that insertion point versus the play head?
Yep.
Well, we got to find a way to get through that.
Yep. Let me shift the track out 10 minutes.
Have you done your review yet of?
Coming up.
Okay, so you'll talk about this. Maybe you can add a little bit.
Move insertion point to playhead. Command Y. Let me try recording for a second. Hi, this is a recording. No, I don't. Okay, I'm lost right now. Seriously, I can't figure out how to get the insertion point where it should be. Command Shift Y. And everything disappears. See, I put the cursor, the playhead at the beginning, and then I'm supposed to be able to hit Command Shift Y. No, Command Y. Move insertion point to playhead. Command Y. Now let me see if I record. Where am I recording? Hi, this is Allison recording. I have no idea where it's putting it. I think something's gone wrong. Seriously, I don't think I'm messing this up. I'm quitting. I'm going to start again because I think something's wrong. Okay. Got 2 copies here. At least I'm going to preserve that second bit. Okay, let's hear what's at the beginning here. Okay, now the audio has changed where it's coming out of. That's interesting. Not coming out of the speakers. Amadeus Pro has changed that. This isn't fun. Output should be coming onto Sure Digital. Okay, why is it coming out there? I don't know what I'm doing. What's going on here, guys? The audio is now not coming out of my speakers. Can you hear it when it comes out?
Play it again. Yes, we can hear that.
Okay. Well, I can't because it's not. I mean, I can, but it's coming out my my headphones. Let me bring it up.
What I heard sounded like it was coming out of your speakers.
Oh, you should hear it through the. You're not hearing it through the program?
No. No, it sounded like your mic was picking up the speakers.
Well, that's not good. Okay, now.
No.
That's not coming to you guys?
No.
Okay, let me stop audio hijack and restart it. Now I've got cascading problems. Okay, now if I hit play, can you hear it? My life in decades. My friend Nancy, did you hear that, Steve? Steve?
Say it again.
Could you hear that?
Play it again, please.
Say, change is bad.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I need to take this and move this out 10 minutes. I'll put it out 8 minutes. Now I want to move my cursor there, and I'm going to go Command Y, which should move the playhead to there, and the playhead is not showing. Move playhead to insertion point. No, move insertion point to playhead. All right, let me try recording again. I'm recording again. Okay, I am really stuck, you guys. Is Dan?
Dan is here.
Okay, I don't understand what's going on. I'm recording and it's not showing up. If it's showing up somewhere I can't see.
Can you see all the tracks?
I can see all the tracks. I can see I've got my audio track listed.
Can you compress the timeline so everything is foreshortened within the window?
Yeah. So selection, let's see, what is it? Sound, where is it? View. Show, there's something. Zoom to document, there it is. Okay, so there's my insertion point has gotten there. And when I hit Command Shift Y, it should move. No, Command Y is what should move it. Command Y. Nope. That's what's wrong. Command Y is not moving to my insertion point.
Can you manually move it?
Yeah, now that I can find it. Yeah, that was a good idea to go full screen. So let me see if I can record now. Okay, this is Allison recording yet again. Yep, that worked. Okay, so now I've got the insertion point where I want it. All right, let's start this show up, huh? What do you say? It's 5:27. Let's start recording the show.
Are you actually starting over?
I don't have any choice, Steve. It's all gone.
Oh, okay.
Even though I saved all the way along, it saved over it. Okay.
Okay.
It did undo. I could have undone this piece, the longer piece, but I don't want to do that. It's like 6 minutes. Okay, here we go. Quit screwing around. We're going to run late, just in case you're wondering. Everybody should, oh, rain falls in Tulsa. Is George here? Cool. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, November 15th, 2015, and this is show number 549. Well, this week on Chit Chat Across the Pond, remember it's its own show now, and you need to go subscribe to it separately in your podcatcher of choice. We had David Sawyer, CEO and founder of TSO Life. TSO Life stands for The Stories of Life, and it's a web service designed to help people capture the stories of their lives through written stories, photos, videos, and audio recordings. This is a fascinating idea with a really interesting business model, and I really enjoyed the conversation with David. I'm guessing that, like me, there are people in your life who have passed on that you wish had recorded their stories for you. This site will give you the chance to do that for your friends and family. You can check out TSO Life at tsolife.com. Well, I've had a crazy busy podcast week. In addition to recording Chit Chat Across the Pond, I was on the SMR podcast with Rob Dunwood and Chris Ashley, which is always a good time. We talked iPad Pro and the Apple TV and a bunch of Windows nonsense too, but we had a great time. As usual, the only problem with being on this SMR podcast is I don't have one to listen to, but go check that out at the link in the show notes. I was also on the Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt and Lamar Wilson. All three of us have the new iPad Pro, so we compared notes on our first impressions. Finally, we recorded an episode of the Mac Roundtable with me, Victor Cahiao of TerraTech.tech, and Adam Christensen of the MacCast. What do you think we talked about? The iPad Pro. Well, because of all those appearances, this will be a mostly iPad Pro free podcast. All right, since I've got the live NosillaCast audience listening right this minute, I wanted to give you a heads up that the live show will be on Monday next week instead of Sunday. Good friend of the show, Klaus Wolf from Germany, will be in LA, and Steve and I want to take some time off to go hiking with him and generally goof around, maybe do some photography. I will tweet that the show is going to be late. Make sure you know, and I'll do everything I can to remind you. But if you have the NosillaCast app, you can always look it up and see exactly when the next show is. If you subscribe to the Google Calendar, you can have it on your calendar for the live show. And that's always correct, too. In fact, the Google Calendar is what drives in the NosillaCast app now. If you want to subscribe to the Google Calendar, go over to podfeed.com/live and scroll down about halfway down. There's a link you can grab. Okay. Save. Drag that over. Now, I guess I've just got to make sure I can always see that little red thing. And where's the red thing? Can't see it right now. Move insertion point to playhead. Okay, there it is. I can see it. So this should be after change everything at once. Let's listen. Change does seem to propagate change. Redo the website. I'm tired of it, and it doesn't represent the way the show works anymore. So I got to go change all of that too. See what I meant at the beginning? Once I start to change, I simply can't stop. Okay, so now I see the red thing in the right place. So I'm going to save again, and I'm going to record a spontaneous Amazon ad.
I detect that your workflow is changing.
Yeah. By the way, I know said I wasn't going to talk about it on the podcast, but this is the iPad Pro.
That screen looks rather opaque.
It does look rather opaque. Well, let's flip it around. But I think this illustrates it pretty well. That's my MacBook. Bigger than the MacBook, so slightly larger. All right.
Well, let's see. That's a 12.9-inch screen on the iPad Pro versus what is it? 12-inch on the MacBook.
Yeah, so it makes sense, right?
Unless you got more bezel. Well, I'm not sure which one has more bezel.
We might need to do some bezel measurements later. Okay, bye-bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
We have to catch up. You do not have to use Google Calendars to subscribe to the NosillaCast. It will work in Apple Calendars, absolutely. You simply copy this URL and then you say subscribe to it. All right, here we go. Thanks, Brett, for answering that. Very good. Okay. As you know, this is no longer a sponsored show. Because of that, there's a couple of different ways you can help keep the show alive. Because you might have noticed that I've kind of been spending a lot of money on software, on some new web hosting options. The hardware part, that's my own hobby. You don't have to worry about that. But everything to make the show possible, it would help if you do one thing. Go over to podfeed.com and bookmark it as your Amazon link. So on podfeed.com, there's an Amazon logo in the upper left-hand corner. It is not JavaScript. It is not an ad. It is simply an image with a link over to Amazon. And if you click on that link and do your shopping from there, anything you buy, a very small percentage of that will go towards helping the show. It's the best way you can do it because it doesn't cost you a dime and the show gets some help. So that's really nice. If you'd rather do a one-shot, we do have a PayPal button that you can click on. If you go through ways to help the show, that's another way you can do it. So I do appreciate the people a bunch of people went out and did push the PayPal button. I actually like it better when you do the Amazon one because I don't feel as guilty when you do that. But anyway, go check it out. And if you would bookmark that would be swell. All right. And now I want to go here and I'm going to do this by hand every time. Move insertion point to playhead. What bugs me is the insertion point disappears. Okay. Why Apple can't be. Oh, this next one's funny. This is the only part of the show that's going to be.
This is the one Adam liked.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I am not going to talk about the iPad. I'm going to talk about the box for the iPad cover. This is fun. Aren't some things excluded by Amazon? Yeah, they might be, George. And I know you had a question one time. You said that you saw different prices, whether you were logged in or not logged in, and whether you're using the affiliate link. I heard some people talking on a podcast about how that used to be true, and it isn't anymore. So, Sandy wants a demo of Ada's typing. This week, she did two things. She used force touch on my trackpad to look up the Wikipedia entry for DNS spoofing. Okay, I had a terminal window open. She went to that and did force touch and brought that up. Then she, let's see, she typed 32 KB. Huh? 32 kilobytes. Wait, is she coming? Oh, I guess
Guilty party.
Ada's coming over to join us here. I got to tell you, Grace Hopper is not as bright. She mostly just unplugs the lamp and knocks my water over. Say hi, Ada. All right, we don't have time to fool around because we're recording everything twice. We're getting there though. We are finally caught back up. All right. Here we go. Command R, right? I promised this would be mostly an iPad Pro free show, but this isn't technically about the iPad Pro itself. I ordered the iPad Pro Smart Keyboard from Apple when I ordered my iPad, but the delivery date isn't until sometime in December. In the meantime, I'm walking around with a 13-inch, $1,000 piece of glass in my hands, and it's terrifying not having any kind of a case or cover on it. Well, I was chatting with Bart, and he said he's a big fan of the original iPad Smart cover. I do need a way to stand the iPad Pro up for watching videos and a way to comfortably hold it in my lap at an angle for typing until the keyboard cover comes back into stock, or comes into stock, I should say. Now, the Smart cover is $59, and that's a lot of money just to carry me over for 3 to 4 weeks, but who knows? Maybe I'll like it and want to keep it and never even, might return that keyboard cover. I don't know. We'll see. So I went to the Apple store today, what I frequently like to call the Apple showcase because they never have what I want. And I went there to get the Smart cover, and I asked one of the specialists if they had it in stock. His answer was hilarious. He said they do have it in stock, but they can't put it on the shelves. And right away I'm thinking, oh man, now what's happening? But he went on to explain that the boxes are too big and they keep falling over. He took me over to the shelves, and someone had actually put them back out that morning so I could see the problem. Here's the problem. The iPad Pro Smart cover box is just a little bit over 1/4 inch thick, but it is a foot tall. So not only does the aspect ratio invite them to fall, but there's a second problem. This very thin box contains smart covers. So you got a bunch of them together, right? They're magnetic. So they're so thin, the magnetic iPad covers inside grab onto the next cover. That means they all stick together. Now, you'd think that might make them a one giant blob that would keep them from falling over, but when you grab one, it pulls the rest of them right off the shelf. I thought this was a really weird problem to have, and perhaps it would have been smarter to design the packaging to display them in landscape mode instead of portrait mode, because then they'd only be like 9 inches tall instead of a foot. In any case, after a good laugh with the specialist, I bought the iPad Pro cover in spite of the falling down display, and so far, I think I might end up liking it. Isn't that hilarious? I just found another mistake. Grab on to the... Oh. I wonder if I said that right. Oh, well. Corrected it. Okay. Let me make sure. Awful lot of things, and he kept saying it was in pages of backup files. I finally went over to... Wait. What the heck? Oh, this is where I promised this would be... Oh, okay. Whew. Scared me. I thought it was hilarious. He said they do this morning so I could see the problem. Here's the problem. The very thin box contains smart covers, so you got a bunch of them together, right? They're magnetic. So they're so thin, the magnetic iPad covers inside grab onto the... Okay. I changed the way I was going to say it, but that's okay. Okay, so Command-Shift-Y.
Is Alphonic taking input for revisions and updates?
Do you mean
the developer?
Amadeus Pro?
Or Amadeus, right.
Yeah, why?
It sounds like a little better user interface would help here.
I guess. Move insertion point to playhead. Command Y. I can't always get it to move. I'm giving that command and it's not moving.
Could it be what is selected when you do that command?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. If it's not on the right track already, there it goes. And it just snapped to place. Okay. I think it's me learning it. It is a little harder to learn than I had hoped, but that's interesting. I accidentally merged those two tracks together. They may be too tight for your taste, Steve, but I don't know how to fix that. You know, go switching too quickly. but I can't fix it. So let's see. Why can't I have it? That's that one. Let's go back. So that was okay. So Amadeus Pro is the next one. All right. Okay. Here we go. Keep doing that. Okay, wait, come on. Oh, just dropping your cursor anywhere. That's what moves it. I found it. Okay, here we go. I mentioned when I was talking about all the things I changed that I had adopted Amadeus Pro for doing my recordings. Recording a podcast isn't really similar to recording music, but for years I've been using GarageBand to do the podcast. For example, GarageBand defaults to having the metronome on, keeping tracks of beats per minute, and even having reverb on voice tracks. Many years ago, Will, a good friend of the show, created a little script for me that turned all that stuff off for me, and I was using that right up until I stopped using GarageBand a couple of weeks ago. In another irritating example, GarageBand introduced a thing called flex time editing. It allows the audio editor to change the pitch of a vocalist's recording in case they were off key. I never wanted that, but I would accidentally trigger it during editing, and it would take forever to analyze the track, to apply the effect, and then wait for me to undo the effect. So it really wasn't the right tool for the job, but I used it for years. GarageBand 6.0.5 was my tool of choice for all this time, but it was deprecated a few years ago and replaced by GarageBand 10. Might even only been a year ago. But GarageBand 10 is so complicated and filled with non-podcasting things that I've never been able to get it to work for me. I couldn't figure out how to use it at all. Much like the way I dropped the levelator in favor of Auphonic before the levelator stopped working, I decided it was time for me to make a change away from GarageBand before Apple stopped it from working in a future rev of the OS. I like to be in control of the timing rather than suddenly being surprised and caught where you've got to, scramble to make a change. As I started on this quest to look for an audio recording application, I thought about what is important to me in that kind of an application. First of all, I need a multi-track editor so I can separately work on the intro, outro music, record my voice, and drop in tracks from interviews and user reviews. I want the ability to do music ducking. In GarageBand, if I clicked a little down arrow, it would know how to duck that music track under my voice, adjusting the volume for me automatically. My blind friends always laugh at me for the next one, but I need to see the waveform of the audio track if I'm going to do any editing. I need it. I'm sorry. I don't know how you guys do it without looking, but I need it. The ability to split a track to remove a piece is a really important piece. Or maybe I need to insert something. If I'm going to insert, I need to be able to slide the split track over to the right. In fact, I often need to slide everything that's on the right, all of the tracks that are on the right, over by the same amount. I also need to be able to export in an uncompressed form, usually an AIFF, so that I can run other tools to improve the audio before it gets compressed to an MP3. Well, GarageBand 6 gave me all of these things, as well as some podcast tools that I didn't use, like tools to make an enhanced podcast where you can jump to bookmarks within a show and have different album artwork along there. It's not that I didn't think those little tools were swell. It was way too much work, and I never did it for you. I remember ages ago playing around briefly with a tool called Amadeus Pro, so that I thought I'd take a fresh look at it to see if it met my needs. I discovered a detailed 88-page manual online, and I did the weirdest thing. Before buying it, I read the manual cover to cover. I got a little nervous when I saw the date on the manual, though. It said 2011, and I thought, oh man, I finally found this great tool, and it's 4 years out of date. I was even more nervous when I went over to the discussion forums at HerrorSoft.com, and I saw the sticky post on top dated 2009. Turns out I dug into the forum and found the developer actively engaged in helping out his users. He's just never changed that top sticky post. The developer also offered a free trial. So armed with the manual, I was able to test thoroughly before committing. I applaud the developer for letting me try it out and then buy it in the Mac App Store or directly from him. The Amadeus Pro interface at its basic level is really easy to understand. It's got the traditional play, pause, rewind, fast forward, and record buttons. Right after that are 4 really easy to understand buttons to add a track, delete a track, split a stereo track, which I didn't have before, and I really like that. You could split it into 2 mono tracks, and split track. Having these buttons right up front is a huge upgrade from GarageBand for me. I often have a stereo recording from Chit Chat Across the Pond where I'd like to split it into 2 mono tracks to do something like remove a phone ringing on my side or some other problem in the audio. All right, when you start adding a lot of tracks, it really helps to be able to name them. Amadeus Pro has a field right on the track that says track name, inviting you to rename them. On iTunes, I could do that. Not iTunes, on GarageBand, I could do that, but I always had to click twice and sometimes I'd triple click. I don't know, it was really hard. It's easier in Amadeus Pro. I also like to mute the music track while I'm laying down my own audio track, and Amadeus Pro has a checkbox that says play right on each track. Just toggle it on and off. You also get a volume slider for each track right in the same area. If you get a lot of tracks set up, you can easily collapse them with a disclosure triangle, which I find really, really useful. In GarageBand, sometimes I would get this giant stack of tracks if I have a lot of user input, for example, and I'd have to keep scrolling up and down amongst them. It was a real pain. So I really like the disclosure triangles. One disappointment in the interface is that unlike GarageBand, the waveform is not visible until you finish a recording session. It is not uncommon at all for me to have clicked on the wrong track when I start recording, and I used to be able to tell right away that I'd messed it up. At first, I thought my only option was to hit undo and re-record onto the right track because the new audio would splat right over the original audio onto that track. But in later testing, I figured out that even if it has written over like that, you can cut that out and paste it onto the right track and the original audio underneath is restored. That was good news, and I thought I'd be able to get over not seeing the waveform or recording, but in this very recording you're hearing, I accidentally pasted over twice. And it can't recover from that I could figure out. And I saved in between because I save when I finish recording. So I'll explain a little later why that happened. Amadeus Pro works really well in editing out sections you don't want, much better than the way GarageBand did it. In GarageBand, if you selected a region of a clip and hit delete, it left this big gap where it cut the piece out, and you had to drag the clips back together and try to make them line up and touch exactly. With Amadeus Pro, the delete automatically pulls the clips together perfectly. If you're a fan of keystrokes, you will love Amadeus Pro. The ability to use keystrokes to control things is what makes this such a perfect audio editor for the blind. This is kind of funny, but of my 8 friends who use Amadeus Pro, 6 of them are blind, 1 is low vision, and only 1, Bart himself, is fully sighted. They do all have one thing in common, though. They've been super helpful in getting me launched using Amadeus Pro. There are a couple of things I'm struggling with in getting used to Amadeus Pro. Let's say I'm doing the live NosillaCast show. I'm recording a whole bunch of clips in a track for my voice. I drop in a new track for, say, a dumb question. I've got tracks for the end music and the dumb question card music. I'm all done when somebody in the live chat room points out that I said the date wrong at the very beginning. Make no mistake, this happens a lot. It's one of the great things that they provide to me. Personally, I'd prefer they tell me earlier, but sometimes it's a little bit late. I have not yet found a way to tell Amadeus Pro to grab everything to the right of my cursor and shove over to the right. I can shift tracks one by one by dragging, or I can define a specific place and time for them to land. I can say shift track to 30 minutes, but I can't drag it out and just say take everything and shift it, or everything and move it to 30 minutes out. I can only do them one at a time. Now, let's say I've already added the dumb question corner music, set it right exactly to the start of the question. I'm going to have to go back in and realign everything after I move it. And that bugs me. There's got to be a way to do that, but I have not yet figured it out. Another concept in Amadeus Pro, and this is what screwed me up today, is the playhead versus insertion point concept. In all the other editors I've used, they're one and the same thing. But in Amadeus Pro, it is critical to pay attention to their different purposes. The playhead is a blue triangle and a blue line designating where you want to play the audio back. So it's only about play. The insertion point is where you're going to start recording the next clip. If you don't pay attention, as you can tell, I often don't pay attention, you can end up recording in the entirely wrong place. The blue playhead and the red insertion triangle often show up and disappear on me, and I have yet to find a pattern in how to control them. I can sometimes beat them into submission, but I'm still very clumsy with it. The good news is that both Dan Eckmeyer and Garth Humphreys have helped me with this when they pointed out that you can use keystrokes to line up the playhead and the insertion point. That's good, but one keystroke, Command Y, moves the insertion point to the playhead, and Command Shift Y moves the playhead to the insertion point. I've not yet gotten the muscle memory on which one is which, but hopefully at some point I will tame this thing. Amadeus Pro supports some more advanced capabilities that I haven't yet mastered. I want to learn more about the paste over function, which allows you to paste one clip onto another. And it's supposed to cause the audio to duck under the upper clip, which is something I said I wanted. I would like the audio for my music to duck under my voice, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And I think maybe that paste over thing has something to do with it, but so far I haven't figured out how to get it to work. I know it's going to be useful when I crack the code on how to use it, though. I had an absolute meltdown the first time I used Amadeus Pro to record the NosillaCast during the live show. Dan Eckmeyer was in the live chat room, and I don't know what I would have done if he hadn't been there. I recorded the show with, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 tracks. It was about 40 minutes long. When I asked it to export from Amadeus Pro to an uncompressed AIFF file at the very end, which I had tested before I adopted this software, Amadeus Pro said, nope, file's too big. It's like, what do you mean the file's too big? GarageBand had never told me this, and that show was like an hour and a half and sometimes 2 hours long with a half a dozen tracks. Why would this file be too big? I didn't know why it was happening, and I had no way forward to fix it. Dan suggested that I try bouncing down the tracks. I had no idea what that meant, but Dan had never lied to me before, so I chose bounce document to new file. Turns out it took all the tracks and it squashed them down into one, and then I was able to save it out as an AIFF file, and all was saved. Dan is my hero. My other hero, Garth, later explained to me why this was happening. He pointed out that when I export from GarageBand to AIFF, it has always said mixing down, and that's the same thing as bounce down in Amadeus Pro. He went on to explain that it's caused by a limitation in the max file size of an AIFF, which is 2 gigabytes. I sure was glad that both Dan and Garth were there to help me, A, solve the immediate tactical problem, and B, to understand why it was happening. Without these 2 guys, I definitely would not have stuck with Amadeus Pro. Garth is continuing to help me learn even more about Amadeus Pro, like how you can put metadata into a template file, and maybe I won't have to do so much work on my final production file with ID3 editor like I talked about before. That'd be another change, wouldn't it, if I stopped using that? Anyway, Amadeus Pro has been a learning curve for me for sure, but I have to say it's much faster than GarageBand at creating the AIFF file at the end, and I'm getting mostly the hang of recording and editing. I'm getting better at fixing it when I mess it up anyway. And if I can just figure out how to slide a bunch of tracks and clips over at one time, I'll be golden. Amadeus Pro is $60 directly from the developer at harrorsoft.com, or you can get it in the Mac App Store. All right. He likes a little gap. Let's see if this gap is too big. All right. Watching the Seahawks. He's here and he's still not watching. Whoop, Just spilled beer on my keyboard. Not much, just a drip. Don't panic. I'll blame Ada anyway. Hope I didn't wreck that. Brand new trackpad. Brand new keyboard. All right. You listen to this. To display them in landscape mode instead of portrait mode, because then they'd only be like 9 inches tall instead of a foot. In any case, after a good laugh with the specialist, I bought the iPad Pro cover in spite of the falling down display, and so far, I think I might end up liking it. Okay, that's way too long. It's like 5 minutes. I don't like gaps in sound. Steve likes a gap. Let's hear this now. In spite of the falling down display, and so far, I think I might end up liking it. I mentioned when I'm... Okay, way too long.
That is a bit long.
Yeah, good. Let's hear what it sounds like if it's just touching it. Cover, in spite of the falling down display, and so far, I think I might end up liking it. I mentioned when I was... Oh, it sounds perfect.
Acceptable.
My toughest critic. All right, so now on this, oh, there we go. If I just tap in the track, the little red line goes where it's supposed to be. All right, so we are at how many minutes? 26 minutes. Perfect. There you go. Before we go, I wanted to tell you a great Clarify story. Nope, they're not back as an advertiser, but I promised I would from time to time continue to tell you my favorite stories. In December of 2013, 2 years ago, I created a tutorial over on podfeet.com that I entitled How to Create Return Address Labels from OS X Contacts. Sounds like that would be an easy thing to do, but it turns out it has a bunch of little tricks in it that make it harder for you. When I cracked the code on how to do it for myself, I whipped open Clarify, I took screenshots of the entire process, dropped in some arrows and other annotations, and I made a beautiful tutorial with a push of a button at the end. I'm really glad I did it because A, it means I don't have to remember how to figure it out again this year. But B, even better, I got an email this week from Mitzi entitled Fabulous, in which she said, I just learned from you how to make labels. It was such a great format showing the mistakes that we're likely to make. It worked just perfectly for me. I'm a new fan, and I'll tell my friends. How great is that? I loved it. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. Don't forget to sign up for a subscription to Chit Chat Across the Pond in your favorite podcatcher. You can follow me on Twitter at Podfeed and check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community. We had a bunch of conversation there today. Man, I'm getting help. I've got a sick Mac that I'm trying to get diagnosed. I got a whole bunch of people helping me. George from Tulsa just posted a great price on Photoshop Elements if you're interested in getting it. So you really got to go ahead and check that out. That is at podfeed.com/Google+. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right. Did I leave the live chat or did nobody say anything that entire time?
It's been kind of quiet in the live chat.
Yeah, where are you? What are you guys doing?
So when you said a really sick Mac, do you mean like really top line decked out cool Mac, or do you mean just a really one that's not doing well?
Yeah, sadly, I mean not doing well.
Ah,
that's a good joke though, dear. All right, let's see. So we got to figure out what to do about. I'm going to need your assistance, Steve, on the levels. Remember, it was too quiet.
Okay, give it a shot.
But it wasn't quiet when I played it back to you, I don't think. We were very quiet. All right, you guys behaving yourselves because I was in such distress earlier. See, I'll wait to fix that. Because
didn't you move the music track so it would sound better or have more volume?
Move the no.
I thought you put it on a different track.
Yeah, but I did that already last week. So oh God, what happens if I slide one? Do they all slide if I slide one? I could be in danger here. Let me go find this. If I take this and I drag this, does this one move with it? Yeah, they do move together. All right. I might go check those change points when I'm done. All right, let's hear where it is at the beginning now. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever-so-slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, November 15th, 2015, and this is show number 549. Well, this week on Okay, so that needs to move out. Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, November 15th, 2015, and this is show number 549. Well, this week on Chit Chat Across the Pond, a little bit more. That's okay. We're almost past time. I'm almost done here. 49. So this audio is not very loud, the music, but it sounds okay to me now, though. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Sounds about right. Maybe I need to have it at an angle at the beginning, though. You know, I have it down low all the way.
How much attenuation do you have?
Down 20 dB.
Let's hear 15.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe.
Is that hard to do?
No, it's not hard to do. But what I just did was I brought it to 15, but then I'll bring it down after that. I don't know. Something like this. How's this sound? Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Is that a little better? I think it should be a little higher. I've got 18 of these little dots, and none of them are. Ew, that dog smells. May I smell that dog? Seriously.
I smell her from here.
Why are there so many little dots? Little green dots. They just grow. There we go. Let's try this. Seriously. Smelly dog. Okay, I don't know what those things are. Okay. If you're interested in getting it. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the... I like that better. One more change. Here we go. Well, wait. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. All right, get that a little bit early. Okay, last time. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. That's too abrupt now. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast. Oh, screw it. Good enough?
Yes. It's a wrap.
Okay. Now I got to go back to the other end. How do I go to the... I want to know how to go all the way to the end. Did I do it? Oh, I might have done it. That's a coincidence. Okay, so now... Where am I? It's... Okay, so now this needs to go here. Nobody else has to stay. Should I call the show and I'll just finish editing? It looks like everybody's leaving.
Yeah, I would call it. I'm going to maybe turn off Alpha Geek at this point.
Yeah, you're not even interested yet. 6:01. All right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. And I didn't see Nura snuck in. And bye, Rose. Wait, one more kitten shot.
And George. George hung in there.
Here we go. Seriously, that dog smells bad. Rose. You smell
there's Ada.
Food. That's Ada. Oh, she's purring. Where's Grace? She needs to see Grace too. This is just for Rose. Everybody else can enjoy the kitties, but for Rose. Hey, Ada. Ada Beta. Oh, she's purring. I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her the whole time. All right. He'll go get her while I finish doing some editing here. All right. Let's see. Let's slide this to there. Right there. I think these tracks affect each other. That's what's happening here, I think. Bring this up. All right, I'm going to stop. Oh, wait, no, we got to have Grace. Up for a subscription to Chit Chat Across the Pond in your favorite podcatcher. You can follow me on Twitter at Podfeet and check out the NosillaCast Google Plus community. We had a bunch of conversation there today. Man, I'm getting help. I've got a sick Mac that I'm trying to get diagnosed. I got a whole bunch of people helping me. George from Tulsa just posted. A sick Mac that I'm trying to get diagnosed. I got a whole bunch of people helping me. George from Tulsa just posted a great price on Photoshop Elements if you're interested in getting it. So you really got to go ahead and check that out. That is at podfeet.com/Google+. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. All right. All right. Let's check here. We lost her at HerrorSoft.com, or you can get it in the Mac App Store. Before we go, I wanted to tell you, she might have. All right. I'm just checking a couple of these intersections. Oh, I should stop broadcasting. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, live audience. Goodbye.